I'm gonna love you like no one's loved you. Come rain.
Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm using an alias.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss a Martin Scorsese film from 1982, The King of Comedy, starring Robert De Niro. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Robert De Niro, who plays Rupert Pupkin. Now, Rupert is an aspiring stand-up comedian who tries to break into comedy by using a known celebrity at the time, Jerry Langford, played by Jerry Lewis. Jerry kind of just pushes Rupert to the side because he feels that he's not ready to actually get onto show business. But Rupert takes it into his own hands to force his position onto TV.
Again, we're looking at a comedy film from Martin Scorsese, who's most notorious for his ultra-violent gangster mafia films. You can only look at After Hours for a sort of surreal sort of experiment in filmmaking, only to look at The King of Comedy as perhaps another foray into something that Scorsese's perhaps not well known for.
Yeah.
And it's also, well, it's evident that when this film came out, it was a flop. It was pretty much a disaster. It flopped critically, financially. It wasn't a very big success. However, the film has gone on to become pretty much a cult movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people recognize this film as a masterpiece and definitely belongs in the Scorsese collection. For this review, I'd never actually seen the film before. So this was a first take for me going into this film, and I didn't know what to expect. Robert De Niro's performance in this film is very strange. I'm so used to seeing Robert De Niro as a mafia hitman, as a gang leader, as a crazy taxi driver, you know?
Yeah.
So seeing him play someone who's perhaps more innocent, but still psychotically deranged.
Is that cork?
I don't know what it is.
For me, this was the second time I'd actually watched this film. The first time, just like Gary, the first time I watched this, I didn't get it. You know, I didn't think it was funny. I found it awkward. There were just scenes where I was just like, this isn't going anywhere. I'm not enjoying De Niro's character because, like we said, you're so used to him being, you know, a crazy taxi driver or the leader of mafia hitmen. And so when you actually see him stood there in these really colourful suits with that weird mustache, like I said, the first time I watched it, didn't find it funny. Watching it the second time, knowing what I was going to see and expecting, I couldn't stop laughing.
I'll be here for the next hour and a half. I'm at my office, and the number is JL54321.
Rupert Pupkin for me is pretty much the king of comedy because, like I said, he is innocent, but he's one of these people who believes they've got this talent and nothing is going to stop them from showing the world this talent. The only thing that is possibly going to stop him are the companies, the controllers of the TV, who actually believe that, you know, they don't find him funny. But he's just like, let me get in front of an audience. The opening sequence, you have Jerry Lewis, the great Jerry Lewis, coming out onto his TV show. And after he comes outside, after the show's finished, you have fans mobbing him and trying to get at him. And, you know, you can see just the kind of fear and just the awkwardness of being surrounded by all these crazy fans. And then Rupert manages to kind of force Jerry back into his car and get into the car with him and start to explain to him, look, you know, I just want to be on TV and I feel that you are the person to talk to. I can't talk to your bosses or your receptionists because they just turn me away. But you see the look on Jerry Lewis's face like, This guy is crazy.
I studied everything that you ever did. I studied the way you built your one-liners, nice and relaxed, how you delivered the jokes without leaning too much on it, how you didn't say, hey, folks, here's the punchline, you know? Jerry, you know what I'm talking about?
You don't say, folks, here's the punchline, you just do the punchline.
Exactly.
After he gets out of the car ride with Jerry Lewis, or Jerry Langford, and it's where his persistent nature first becomes evident, where he just can't leave the man alone. Yeah. It's always, oh, one more question, oh, just one more thing, or can I just say this? And
Hey, Jerry, take it. Take it, go ahead, take it. Consider it a gift, it'll work for you.
I will.
Not that you need the help. Jerry, seriously, you ever want lunch? My treat.
this is the sort of person you don't want in your life. But it's the persistence that just infuriates me.
Try me tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we might know something by then. Otherwise, Monday.
Monday? Well, Miss Long, you know, I think what I might do is just wait here a while. Maybe Jerry will find a minute.
Mr. Pupkin, you're really just wasting your time. We're not going to know anything until tomorrow at the earliest.
That's really all right. I don't mind. I'm not wasting my time. I'm glad to do it. It's important to me, so I really don't mind.
It'll probably be Monday.
Monday?
Monday.
Well, I'll still wait.
Weirdly enough, it kind of reflects for me back to Taxi Driver. Because, you know, you think that Rupert is innocent, but then when you're left alone with him and you see him at home, he has these fantasies, you know, fantasies that he believes are playing out right there and then. And when he gets to be in that conversation, that's exactly how the conversation's gonna go. Like the conversation where he's in the restaurant with Jerry, the banter back and forth, and then it'll cut to Rupert in his own basement talking like he's in the conversation, then cut back to the restaurant. I find that a bit crazy at first, but I was just like, it's all in his head. He is just imagining all this. Then when he actually tries to go to the building, and he's just... Those are the most awkward situations, where he walks into the receptionist and he just walks up to the reception and he just says to her, like, I'm here to see Jerry. Like they're just going to let him in to see a celebrity. He's like, I want to see Jerry. No, you've got to see this person first, and then she'll pass. No. I've already spoken to Jerry. Jerry says I can come in.
We have no record of your appointment.
Oh, well, technically speaking, I don't have an official appointment with Jerry, but he did ask me to call him personally, and I was in the neighborhood. I thought I'd just stop up. I was having trouble calling for some reason. The line seemed to be busy. And...
Again, you are sympathetic with him because he did actually meet Jerry, and
Yeah.
Jerry did say, yes, I'd like to see your material.
Call my office.
Okay. Jerry, you're a prince.
But Jerry's basically being very politely saying, fuck off. Rupert believes that he's been invited to Jerry's sort of summer villa.
Yeah.
And he convinces the love of his life, who's running a bar. He'd never confessed to her that he loved her up until a certain point. But just in this one chance that you everything you're saying is true, then I'd be a fool to pass up on this opportunity to go with you and see Jerry for the weekend.
Yeah.
So she believes his lies and the hype that he's created, and so she gets all dressed up and he takes her and they go to the summer home, and he uses the gift of the gab to get past, you know, the caretakers of the house, if you will. And he's in there and he's talking about all of the things that he knows about Jerry, all the things that are laying around, until Jerry actually turns up and is just like, how did you get into my house?
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I walked in the front door. And you just like, he just doesn't get it. And credit to all of the actors in this scene, it was pretty much all improvised. And it really works. There's sort of a real sort of uncomfortableness to it, because we as an audience know that he shouldn't be there, that he is trespassing, and that he is this fanatic who doesn't see it that way. And just the responses on Jerry Lewis's face, you could just tell that he's just seething with hatred for this person.
To get rid of me?
That's right.
Okay. All right, I can take a hint.
If I didn't tell you that, we'd still be standing on the steps at my apartment.
Yeah, all right, so I made a mistake.
So did Hitler.
Behind the scenes, Robert De Niro was actually using some pretty offensive material before they recorded to wind him up, just to get that performance to work. And for an improvised scene, it really just drives home everything about who these characters are.
All right. Oh, this is the way it is when you're famous. Now I see.
You understand now?
Yeah, that's how you guys are, huh?
No, not them.
No,
Me,
that's
yeah.
how you are.
Uh-huh, right.
When you reach the top, huh?
No, I was that way before.
I see. Now I know how people like you
All right, goodbye and good luck.
Goodbye. And Jerry, I just want to say one more thing, Jerry.
But Rupert just can't see that.
No.
And yeah, you're right. Those those fantasies that he has about these interactions that he's having, and when they tell him in his fantasy land, yes, you're going to be on the show and you're going to be this, and so he just takes that as fact.
Yeah.
And so if anyone says to him in reality that he's not, he doesn't hear it.
Yeah.
He only hears what he wants to hear, and so he's perplexed when he's constantly ejected from the building. But to the point where when security does actually bring him out of the building and somebody says, you were just thrown out of the building, he was like, no, they just escorted me out of the building. They were showing me the way out. And I'm like, he just doesn't see what is real. Going into the psychology of Rupert's character, he's interrupted in his fantasies or in his rehearsals at home with a voice of his mother.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do without you.
Rupert,
Anyway.
the bus is here. It's early. Try to be on time for once.
I can't believe this. I gotta go now. Yeah, I gotta catch a bus. Jerry, take care of yourself. Baby, be good. Good luck in Rio.
But we never actually are introduced to his mother.
No.
And there's an offhanded line at one point where he says, yeah, I'm living in a hovel.
What are you talking about? I live in a hovel.
We doesn't actually appear like he's living in a hovel.
See, I think he's living in the basement of his mother's house. He has. We don't really go into the backstory of Rupert, so we don't know what has built up to this point. Maybe he's tried to have a normal life and shit has happened, and it has pushed him over the edge. Or he has grown up with this fantasy of, I want to be a comedian, but I'm being kind of forced into the normal everyday life, and I am obviously living at home with my mum.
Well, it's small spoilers here, but towards the end of the film, when he's actually doing a routine, he says that his mother passed away, 7 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
He also talks about the fact that he was bullied in his childhood.
Yeah.
That he had a rough upbringing, or the fact that he never even had a childhood. And he then goes on to talk about what he's done in the rest of the film. And all of those things are true. So I don't know why he would then lie in that routine about his mum being dead, other than the joke, where you comedians will improvise and make things up based on their real life. But then that would also lead to believe that all of the times that his mother shouted for him throughout the film is just in his head.
What's the matter with you?
Mom!
Take it easy. Lower it.
I'm not gonna lower it. I have to do this now.
I don't mind you playing it, but lower it.
It's just another part of his fantasy, another part of the thing that he's created of himself.
Yeah, but...
And that just makes me even more worried for this character.
But this is it. Like you said, it's the first time you've watched the film, so you obviously, going into the film, you were analysing every scene that was coming up, and by the end you're just like, hold on a minute, does that mean this and does that mean that? It's probably happened because obviously all these horrible things have happened to him in his life, and there is a point where he does say to Jerry, look,
I think it's that I look at my whole life and I see the awful, terrible things in my life and turn it into something funny. It just happens.
and that's what makes me enjoy Rupert's character a bit more. Obviously, I do have moments where I'm sat there thinking, yeah, he is completely off the wall and he needs to be kind of institutionalized. But then at the same time, I'm just like, you look at a lot of comedians that we have around, they did exactly the same thing. They put in all the hard work that Rupert didn't. But Rupert, in an hour and 40-minute film, Rupert was just going to kind of force himself onto TV. And obviously, this comes to the crux of the movie, where I actually think at one point the film stops being funny and actually gets really quite serious. And it's the point where he does take Jerry hostage. Him and his friend Marsha, played by another stand-up comedian, Sandra Bernhard, kidnap Jerry and force the network to put Rupert on TV or they're going to kill Jerry. Now, at that point, you're just like, would they actually kill him? Would they actually kill him if he doesn't get on TV? You then have the FBI agent sitting there saying, well, you know, this man might be a terrorist. You know, he might have a secret code word that's going to blow 50 people up all around the world and, you know, this, that, and the next thing. And I'm just like, look, just give him a chance. Like the network producer says, if we put him on TV and he's not funny, we won't use it. But if he is funny, it might be the big break.
Suppose we tape him, he doesn't talk, it gets to be 11:30. Do we put him on no matter what?
You can go ahead and tape him. It won't hurt anything because you always can erase it. We may learn something from it, and it will also buy us time. But under no circumstances will we put this man on the air.
Do you believe this? See, I gotta praise Jerry Lewis in this film. I've kind of always been a bit of a fan of Jerry Lewis's material because back in the 50s and 60s he was kind of like the bumbling actor, you know, the Mr. Bean of cinema. But he did go on to write and direct a lot of films that, you know, a lot of comedians nowadays say, you know, I use this. I love this movie. You know, films like Cinderfella, The Bellboy, and The Nutty Professor were all under Jerry Lewis's belt. Bring him into this film, he's only funny when he's on stage. When he comes out, it's like he's a normal, well, he is a normal person, but this is his normal life. You know, he's mobbed by all these fans, and then he goes home, and his apartment is kind of cold and empty, and he's just got his dog. You know, he's off playing golf with celebrities, but he heavily drinks, and he's just trying to get through day to day. And then you see him going up against De Niro. You know, and I'm just like, which one of you is the biggest star at the moment? You know, De Niro is playing this really innocent, eccentric, obsessive fan, and Jerry Lewis is ready to wrap a golf club around his head.
You're a tough man, Rupert.
Well, you gotta be in this business.
I love the moment where Marsha and Rupert are walking down the street of New York. You know, I love the way that that's filmed. I love the fact that there are just kind of innocent bystanders walking by, and it must have been so weird. You're walking down the street and there's Martin Scorsese with a camera recording Robert De Niro and another actress recording a scene for a film. And you're just like, what the hell's going on? But the banter back and forth between them. You didn't help me. Yeah, I helped you. You didn't help me. You know, they're both obsessive fans, but they both believe that they have a relationship with Jerry Langford that doesn't exist. Yep.
All right, this is the last time. I'm telling you, this is the last time. Last time,
When
I'm
are you
telling
gonna get it to him?
Because you're a wacko, I'm telling you, you're a
Yeah,
wacko.
okay, you better make sure, because I'll know if you don't. I know where you are. I know where Jerry is. I cover the waterfront. Remember that.
And the crowd start yelling back at Marsha. And she turns to them and she's like, "You're all street trash."
What are you looking at? Beat it. You scum, you're street trash.
But it was actually, I think it was like 3 members of The Cure.
Yeah.
The group that were actually in that scene as the street trash. I love all of the shots of Manhattan, just the nightlife, the day life, just the characters walking through it, just the ambience of the place, especially in the early 80s. It's just great to watch. You talk about the film stock that they used for the film, just the look of the film, the cinematography for it. There's places where it's really claustrophobic, where you're really... That's what makes it uncomfortable, when you're that close to these characters that you really wish you could distance yourself from.
See, but this is it. I mean, Scorsese's direction with the camera really works. You can just see why Scorsese is as big as he is. De Niro's, you know, conveyance of Rupert really works because you really find him funny, but at the same time you really find him awkward at the same time. Jerry Lewis as Langford, you know, his performance as well is brilliant. So I sit there and I'm just like, what makes this film good? Is it the acting? Is it the writing? Is it the camera work? Is it the directing? Is it all of it, all put together? It is a, you know, bit like Marmite. You know, you might like it or not like it, but I'm going to go on record and say, if you watch it once and you don't like it, wait a few years and then go back and watch it again.
Every man is a genius. And I'll tell you something, Rupe. It's going to be more than once in your life for you. It's going to be a number of times because you've got it. From what I've heard here, yeah, you've got it. And you're stuck with it. And I don't care if you wanted to get rid of it. You couldn't. It's always going to be there.
I have a couple of favourite scenes in the film. There's two odd bits that I think are really just quite funny. Jerry Lewis being quite a celebrity at the time, when and a ton of the other scenes were also improvised where Jerry Langford is walking through Manhattan and people will just be like, "Oh, hey Jerry, how's it going, Jerry?" All of those were not extras, not actors. They were just real people passing by, and they just played on his recognition just to elevate the fact that that's real. Yeah. And so they didn't even need actors to do that. I thought that was a nice touch. But Jerry Lewis actually explained to Scorsese that this was an incident that actually happened to him. And so they decided to put it in the film, where he's walking through Manhattan and this little old lady is just like, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan. I love your work on television. Will you please speak to my dying nephew or grandson on the phone?" He's like, "I'm sorry, I'm really busy." And she's like, "Cancer! I hope you get cancer!"
I'm sorry, I'm late.
You should only get cancer. I hope you get cancer.
There's also another odd moment where they're in the restaurant and they're having food, and there's an actor called Chuck Lowe who's in the background, and he's imitating everything that Rupert's doing, and you're just like, what is he doing? Is this like, did they film this and didn't realize there was this weird sort of extra? But actually that was an actor who would go on to appear in the Goodfellas movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just an odd sort of surreal moment that was happening there. But I think one of my favourite scenes in the film is when they've captured Jerry, they've got him tied up, and he's toying with the idea of just letting him go, that he might be telling the truth, that everything's going to be okay. And he just brings out this one roll of tape and starts walking round in circles, taping him up all the way up. And then he's just left there. And I was like, wow, again, it reminds me of After Hours where he's all taped up. And after he's left to go on and put on the show, Martha's just sat there with him. And again, another totally improvised scene.
Let's do something crazy tonight. Just get insane. I want to be crazy. I want to be nuts. I want to have some fun. God damn it. My doctor says don't have any fun. You can't have fun. No, you're not allowed to have a good time. You can't get crazy. See, I have to be in control. And I like being in control. But you know, for one night, I'd like to see myself out of my head. Wouldn't you like to see me out of my head? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be fabulous? I'm having a good time.
And the whole time, Jerry is just sat quietly. And I think after a while, he just closes his eyes. He's just like, this is not happening to me. It's not happening to me. It's a very memorable moment in the film.
I love the part after where she convinces Jerry she wants to have sex with him. And so she takes off her dress. She's just stood there in underwear. And she releases him. And he escapes. And then she's running down the street in her underwear trying to chase him. I thought that was brilliant. My favourite scenes, I have quite a few. My first favourite scene is De Niro sitting with the cutouts. I mean, I've just got to credit De Niro for being able to just hold the scene on his own with two cardboard cutouts. And yet, in a weird way, you kind of believe that he's having conversations, so you can kind of weirdly hear the answers coming back in the way he's interacting with the cutouts. It's absolutely brilliant. Second favourite scene is the fantasy where Rupert is talking to Jerry in Jerry's office, and Jerry starts strangling Rupert. And it's all in Rupert's head, but it's just the way De Niro's head is just constantly going back for quite a while, and then he just lets him go. The third scene is where Jerry is phoning up the network, and Rupert has some cards, and Jerry just has to read from the cards. But every time they take cards, something weird has happened. Like one card's upside down, and another card is back to front, and then he drops the cards. And so he's trying to explain that he has a gun to his head, and he's going to die unless you put this guy on TV.
You got a blank card. Hold on, Brett. I'm reading from two cards.
But it's just completely stupid. You know, cards are being dropped all over the place. That's awesome. And my final favourite scene is just Rupert's performance on the show. Like you said, we've been teased all the way through if Rupert is actually funny. And then he gets on stage and he does make the audience laugh. And it's like he says, he'd rather be king for one night than a schmuck for the rest of his life.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.
Because the whole film is a commentary on celebrities and stardom and fame, and it's the fact that, yeah, any schmuck could get up there and instantly be a celebrity. Which, again, I'm going to talk about the ending, the very ending of the film.
Yeah.
Because so much of the film has been a fantasy of Rupert's.
Yeah.
We know that he has done what he's done, and he's done this show, and the film tells us he's off to jail for 6 years.
Yeah.
He does like 2 years, and he's out, and now he is a celebrity. But it kind of makes me think how much of what's happened since he's got out of jail is fantasy.
Yeah.
It could the whole last 3 minutes of the film could just all be fantasy.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You don't know.
And when he comes up on stage again, and the announcer just keeps announcing,
yeah.
and announces him again and again, I'm just like, yeah, this for me now is like, it's Fantasyland, and it's all in Rupert's head, and he's still in solitary confinement in prison somewhere.
Yeah.
Just and acting out his showbiz hallucinations.
Rupert Pupkin, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Rupert Pupkin. Wonderful. Rupert Pupkin, ladies and gentlemen. Rupert Pupkin, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Rupert Pupkin.
I like to think that Rupert got sent to prison, and he meets the guy from Cape Fear, and obviously then becomes obsessed with the guy from Cape Fear, and obviously wants to take out his family. So it's all linked around, really.
I do recommend King of Comedy, but it's a tough pill to swallow, because it's a film that can make you feel sick. It's a film that can make you feel uncomfortable, and that is what it's trying to do in my eyes, because that is the only way you're really going to understand this Rupert character and what he's trying to accomplish in the film. It is fantastically made. It's well put together. I think for me the running time is about 20 minutes to half an hour, just too long. It's nearing a 2-hour film. I think if there'd been an hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half, would have been just right. I can't really fault the film other than the fact that it made me feel queasy. Scorsese fans, again, just like After Hours, you're not going to get your usual... I don't think there's a single gunshot in the entire film other than a fake gun.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a film worth checking out. I do recommend King of Comedy.
I definitely recommend it too. The performance from Robert De Niro is excellent. The performance by Jerry Lewis is excellent. Having the two together is magic. Marsha's character as well is just absolutely crazy. There's a whole kind of, I'd say, social commentary on celebrity stardom and trying to become a celebrity and what happens when you become a celebrity and all that kind of stuff. It's all in there. There's some layers that you can peel away and think for yourself. You may not like it, you may love it, but for me, it's a Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Jerry Lewis classic.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
How can you stand the silence that pervades when we all cry? How can you watch the violence that erupts before your eyes?
Joy to the world. Please, Clark, would you just please say something to my nephew Morris on the phone? He's in the hospital.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
You should only get cancer. I hope you get cancer.